Amidst the hustle and bustle of a constantly bustling city, a small restaurant, known for its cozy atmosphere and rustic decor, stood out as an oasis of tranquility. People from all walks of life came there to escape the demands of daily life, especially during lunchtime when the place filled with comforting aromas and an almost palpable calm. On one of these seemingly peaceful afternoons, Ben, an 8-year-old boy with large, expressive eyes, sat uncomfortably between two adults. His posture was rigid, and his eyes darted anxiously back and forth between the man beside him and the movement around them. The man, robust with a gentle voice, introduced himself as Paul, his father, while the woman, with soft features and a smile that barely reached her eyes, said she was his grandmother, Clara. The boy's unease did not go unnoticed by the other patrons, who cast worried and curious glances, contrasting with the usual serenity of the place. Ben's tension was palpable, like a dissonant note in a tranquil melody. Lisa, the waitress serving their table, observed everything with sharp perception. Her past was not just a story, it was a collection of moments that taught her to recognize signs of danger in subtle gestures and fleeting looks. Having been the victim of a family kidnapping in her own childhood, Lisa felt every vibration of fear emanating from Ben as if they were echoes of her own past. With a tray balanced in one hand and a heart heavy with foreboding, Lisa approached the table with the grace of someone dancing between invisible dangers. She smiled at Ben, hoping to convey warmth and safety. "Can I get you something special today?" Lisa asked, leaning slightly toward Ben, trying to establish a direct and calm channel of communication with him. Her voice was sweet, designed to soothe and invite trust. Ben hesitated, quickly glancing at the man beside him before responding. "Apple juice, please," he murmured, his voice almost a whisper as if he feared being overheard. "Of course, dear, and to eat anything special you'd like," Lisa continued, keeping her tone soft and friendly while glancing at the man's hand resting heavily on Ben's shoulder. Paul intervened, his voice gently asserting itself. "He'll have the chicken with potatoes, won't you, Ben?" The grip on his shoulder tightened momentarily, a gesture that might have seemed paternal to an unobservant onlooker, but to Lisa, it was a clear sign of control and coercion. Ben just nodded, not looking at the menu that Lisa had discreetly placed in front of him. The waitress nodded, her heart heavy with the boy's situation. "I'll be right back with your juice and meal," Lisa said, giving Ben one last encouraging smile before stepping away. As she returned to the kitchen, her thoughts raced. She knew something was deeply wrong and that she needed to act. However, any misstep could put Ben in greater danger. Determined not to let history repeat itself, Lisa began to devise a plan. She knew she needed to be cautious, but the urgency of the situation demanded action. As she moved between the counter and the kitchen, she exchanged looks with her colleagues, silently communicating about the tension at Ben's table. They were a well-tuned team, ready to support one another, especially in moments like this. The waitress knew the next step was crucial, and as she prepared to return to the table with Ben's juice and meal, she rehearsed every word and gesture she would make. Lisa was ready to make a difference, to be the protector Ben needed at that critical moment. And with each step back to the table, she strengthened herself with the determination not just to serve, but to save. Lisa returned to the table carrying a cold apple juice and a plate of chicken with potatoes. As she approached, she carefully observed the dynamic between Ben and the adults with him. She placed the juice in front of Ben with a gentle smile, taking the opportunity to act. "Ben, how about coming to choose a dessert? We have some delicious options today," Lisa said, extending her hand in a friendly yet calculated gesture. The boy hesitated, glancing at the man beside him, who nodded reluctantly after a brief pause. As they walked toward the dessert counter, Lisa kept the conversation light, trying to make Ben feel at ease. "Do you like chocolate, Ben? Or maybe you prefer something with fruit?" she asked, showing him the various colorful options on display. Ben, a bit more relaxed away from the table, looked at the desserts, but his attention seemed distant. I don't want to be here," he murmured almost inaudibly, avoiding Lisa's gaze. Lisa crouched down to be at Ben's eye level, ensuring her expression was as welcoming as her words. "Can you tell me why, Ben? It's okay, you're safe with me," she gently encouraged. The boy bit his lip, clearly torn. After a moment of hesitation, he whispered, "He's not really my dad. He says he is, but I don't want to go with him." Ben's words confirmed Lisa's suspicions. She knew she needed to act quickly, but with caution. "It's okay, Ben. Let's pick a dessert for now, and you can stay near the counter while I prepare something special for you," she said, formulating a plan in her mind. As Ben chose a chocolate cupcake, Lisa discreetly signaled one of her colleagues. With a look and a subtle gesture toward the phone, she communicated the urgency of the situation. Her colleague, understanding the gravity of the moment, discreetly nodded and headed to the back to make the necessary call to the police. Lisa continued talking to Ben, keeping her voice calm and her presence comforting while discreetly watching the reaction of Ben's companions. The man and the woman seemed increasingly impatient, exchanging worried glances with each other and toward the counter where Ben and Lisa were. "Do you like games, Ben? I'll show you a game on my phone while we wait for your mom to arrive," Lisa offered, looking for a way to keep Ben occupied and less anxious. Ben nodded, showing a small smile for the first time since he entered the restaurant. As he focused on the game, Lisa kept one eye on the boy and another on the adults at the table, ready to intervene at any sign of suspicious movement. With each passing minute, the tension grew, but Lisa remained steady, her determination as clear as the purpose driving her. She knew Ben's safety depended on her actions in the coming hours and was prepared to do everything in her power to protect the boy until help arrived. Lisa kept her voice low and calm as she guided Ben to a distant table in the farthest corner of the restaurant. The table was decorated with colored pencils and paper, part of an improvised children's activity. "Let's do a drawing while we wait, Ben. It can be about anything you like," Lisa suggested, offering him the pencils. Ben, still nervous but visibly relieved to be away from the watchful eye of the man claiming to be his father, picked up a blue pencil and began to sketch timidly. Lisa seized this moment to discreetly step away, picking up the restaurant's phone and dialing the police number with slightly trembling hands. "Hello, I need help. There's a child here who might be in danger," Lisa spoke quietly, hidden behind the counter where she couldn't be seen by Ben's supposed relatives. She quickly described the situation, providing physical descriptions and detailing the strange behavior of the boy's companions. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, her colleagues were engaged in their own part of the plan. Tom, the head chef, and Mia, another waitress, received instructions from Lisa to create complex and time-consuming orders. "We need a little more time, so why not complicate things for them?" Lisa suggested, and they readily agreed. Tom began preparing dishes that required meticulous preparation and detailed presentation, while Mia visited the kidnapper's table, apologizing for the delay and explaining that they were preparing something really special for them. "We hope it will be worth the wait," she said with a convincing smile, keeping the couple engaged and distracted. Returning to her post near Ben, Lisa watched the boy draw. She approached again, trying to keep the atmosphere light. "That blue is very nice, Ben. What are you drawing?" she asked, sitting next to him. It's a superhero," Ben replied, his voice still low. "He protects people. He looks very strong," Lisa commented, smiling. "Like you, being brave today." Deep down, Lisa's heart was racing, each second seeming to stretch on forever as she awaited the arrival of the police. She kept one eye on Ben and the other on the kidnappers, ensuring that at any sign of suspicion she could act. Finally, the distant sound of sirens grew gradually louder. It was a sound that brought with it the promise of resolution, but also the forewarning of an imminent confrontation. Lisa felt a mix of relief and tension. The plan was in motion, but the outcome was still uncertain. She stood up, giving one last look at Ben, who continued to focus on his drawing. "I'm going to check if your dessert is ready," she said, preparing for whatever might happen next. As she walked back to the counter, Lisa felt each step echo with the weight of responsibility. She was ready, however, to do whatever was necessary to ensure Ben's safety. The increasing sound of sirens filled the air, cutting through the usual hum of the restaurant and heightening the already tense atmosphere. Lisa, who had just returned to Ben's side, maintained a calm and controlled expression, but her eyes swept the room with constant vigilance. Ben's stepfather, a hard-featured man named Robert, immediately sensed the change in the air. His face turned pale upon hearing the sirens, and he exchanged a quick, panic-stricken glance with the woman beside him. "We need to go now," he whispered, his voice tense with urgency. Robert stood up abruptly, grabbing Ben by the arm and trying to drag him toward the exit. "Come on, Ben, we have to get out of here," he said. Ben resisted, pulling his arm back and looking desperately at Lisa. The waitress, quick to respond, intervened. "Ben stays with me," she said firmly, positioning herself between the boy and Robert. "The police want to talk to you." Meanwhile, the first officers entered the restaurant, their imposing presence and uniforms marking a promise of safety. They moved efficiently, heading directly to the table where the confrontation was unfolding. Robert attempted to push forward, but other restaurant patrons, who had observed the situation unfolding and grasped the gravity of the moment, stood up and began strategically positioning themselves to form a human barrier that prevented any escape attempt. "Sir, we need you to cooperate and come with us," one of the officers said to Robert, his authoritative voice cutting through any protest. At the same time, a woman appeared at the restaurant doors, her face marked by anxiety and hope. It was Ben's real mother, Marianne. Her eyes quickly found Ben, and she ran to him, opening her arms. "Ben!" she called, and the boy ran to her, burying his face against her in palpable relief. Marianne hugged her son tightly, her hands trembling as she caressed his back. "It's all right now, my love. I'm here," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes as she watched the officers handcuff Robert and the woman with him. The restaurant patrons watched, some with tears in their eyes, others with sighs of relief as the scene unfolded. Lisa, standing next to Marianne and Ben, felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. She watched as the officers led Robert and his accomplice out of the restaurant, ensuring that the threat hanging over Ben was finally being removed. With the situation seemingly under control, Marianne turned to Lisa, her eyes overflowing with gratitude. "Thank you," she said, her voice choked. "You saved my son." Lisa smiled, her heart relieved to see mother and child reunited and safe. "I just did what was right," she replied, watching Ben cling to his mother, visibly relieved. Now, as the restaurant slowly began to return to its normal routine, Lisa shared with Marianne the details of that tumultuous afternoon, preparing to explain everything that had happened from Ben's arrival at the restaurant to the decisive moment of intervention. It was a necessary account to fully understand the event, one that would strengthen the case against Robert and ensure that Ben would never have to face such danger again. After the police left with Robert and his accomplice, the restaurant slowly began to recover its usual serene atmosphere, but the emotions of those involved still vibrated with the intensity of the recent events. Marianne, with Ben still clinging to her side, handled the final formalities with the remaining officers, ensuring that all necessary information was recorded to strengthen the case against the kidnappers. Lisa, meanwhile, took advantage of the relative calm to share her own experience with kidnapping with Marianne, a story that not only resonated with Ben's situation, but also revealed the layers of empathy and understanding Lisa possessed. "When I was a little older than Ben, something similar happened to me," Lisa began, her distant gaze reflecting painful memories. "That's why today when I saw Ben, I just knew something was wrong." Marianne listened intently, holding Lisa's hand in gratitude and connection. "Your intuition saved my son," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "How did you overcome that, Lisa?" "It's not easy," Lisa admitted, sighing slightly. "But I believe that using our pain to help others gives us purpose. Maybe that's what helped me move forward." The conversation between the two women, enriched by the exchange of experiences and mutual understanding, cemented a bond that extended far beyond the context of a restaurant. Together, they discussed ways to use the incident as a catalyst for positive change both in the establishment and in the surrounding community. Inspired by Lisa's example and supported by his mother, Ben began to take an interest in child advocacy and rights. "I want to help other kids who are scared and alone," Ben declared one afternoon, while drawing in the same corner of the restaurant where Lisa had protected him. "Lisa helped me. I want to be like her." Lisa, in turn, continued her vigilance at the restaurant, implementing programs on child safety awareness and emotional first aid. The restaurant became not just a place to eat, but also a space for education and community. As the story unfolded and the investigations into Robert progressed, it became clear that he was connected to a much larger kidnapping network. Lisa's actions not only saved Ben, but also triggered a series of operations that dismantled part of a criminal network, commented one of the detectives in charge of the case during a meeting at the restaurant. She didn't just stop a crime in progress, she helped expose a much bigger problem. This revelation shocked and at the same time strengthened the community, which rallied even more around the restaurant and the cause. What began as an isolated act of courage by Lisa had transformed into a movement of significant impact, highlighting the importance of community vigilance and individual action in combating crime and protecting the vulnerable. As Marianne finalized the last formalities with the police, Lisa approached Ben, smiling at him with pride and affection. "Are you ready to help make a difference, Ben?" she asked, her voice full of hope and determination. Ben nodded, his face illuminated by a new resolve. Together, they looked ahead, ready to turn their traumatic experiences into a force for good, guided by the courage and empathy they had found in each other. In the days following the incident at the restaurant, the atmosphere in the small community began to noticeably change. The courage demonstrated by Lisa and Ben's vulnerability not only touched the hearts of many, but also sparked a spirit of vigilance and collective responsibility that spread rapidly. The streets, once places of hurried passage, transformed into spaces of meeting and dialogue. Merchants, neighbors, and passers-by more frequently stopped to talk about what had happened and how they could help prevent such incidents from happening again. "I never thought much about it before," commented the local bookstore owner during one of these conversations. "But seeing what Lisa did really shows us that we all have a role to play." Inspired by Lisa's initiative and the emerging needs of the community, the local Merchants Association, along with the City Hall, began organizing workshops on child safety and emotional first aid. These events were held in Lisa's restaurant, which had become a central hub for education and community engagement. It's crucial that everyone knows how to act, not just in crisis situations, but also how to prevent these crises, Lisa explained during one of these workshops. She shared her story, sparing no details about the signs she observed and the decisions she made, emphasizing how attention and immediate action can make a difference. "Seeing something and doing nothing is the same as allowing it to happen," she pointed out, capturing the attention of everyone present. Workshop participants, many of them parents and educators, eagerly absorbed the information, practiced emotional first aid techniques, and discussed ways to implement safety strategies in their daily routines. "How can we make our neighborhood safer for our children?" was a recurring question, reflecting a growing community awareness. In addition, local schools began integrating child safety sessions into their curricula, inviting Lisa and occasionally Ben to speak to the students. Ben, though young, displayed surprising maturity when sharing his experience, highlighting the importance of speaking up when something seemed wrong. "I just wanted someone to notice that I was scared," Ben said in one of these sessions, his voice steady despite the painful memory. "Lisa noticed. She was my hero." The community's response was so positive that the city's mayor decided to officially recognize Lisa's efforts by awarding her a citizenship award at a public ceremony. "What Lisa and Ben have shown us is that the safety of our children is a shared responsibility," declared the mayor. "They have inspired a change that I hope will be lasting." Over time, what began as an individual act of courage transformed into a robust community movement. Awareness and prevention actions became the norm, not the exception, fostering an environment where the safety and well-being of children were prioritized. As the story of Ben and Lisa continued to be told and retold, the community not only awakened to new realities, but also united in ways previously unimaginable. And as they prepared for the next community event, focused on prevention strategies and quick responses to risky situations, Lisa and Marianne looked to the future with renewed hope, confident that tragedy had been transformed into a force for good. The days following the incident at the restaurant were a time of healing and adjustment for Ben and his mother, Marianne. Aware of the trauma her son had faced, Marianne was determined to restore normalcy and safety to Ben's world. She knew that emotional recovery would be a gradual process and sought creative and therapeutic ways to help him process his feelings. "How about we paint together today, Ben?" Marianne suggested on a sunny morning, unrolling a large sheet of paper on the kitchen table. She had transformed a corner of the room into a small art studio, complete with paints, brushes, and various types of paper and canvas. Ben, initially hesitant, allowed curiosity to take over, and soon his small hands were exploring colors and shapes. "Look, Mom, I'm making a superhero," he said, his face lighting up with a brief smile as he mixed blue and red. "That's beautiful, Ben. And what's his superpower?" Marianne asked, encouraging him to tell stories through his art. "He can turn bad things into good ones," Ben replied, focused on his creation. His response gave Marianne a window into her son's mind, helping her understand his hopes and fears. In addition to art sessions, Marianne organized regular nature outings, taking Ben for walks on local trails or visiting the city park. "Nature has a way of making everything feel right, doesn't it?" she commented as they watched ducks gliding over a serene pond. "Yeah, I like it here. It's peaceful," Ben agreed, holding his mother's hand as they walked. These outdoor moments were not just exercises. They were opportunities for Ben to breathe, explore, and reconnect with the world in a safe and positive way. Lisa, who had become a central figure in their lives, often joined them in these activities. Her presence was a constant source of support and joy. During a park visit, while Ben played on the playground, Lisa and Marianne shared a picnic bench, watching him play. "You've been amazing, Lisa," Marianne expressed her gratitude, watching Ben climb the play structure. "I don't know how we would have gotten through all this without you." Lisa smiled, watching Ben affectionately. "He's a strong boy, and you're a wonderful mother. We're all in this journey together, aren't we?" "Yes, we are. And I think we're getting better every day," Marianne replied, smiling as she saw Ben laugh with other children. Through these activities and Lisa's constant support, Ben began to show signs of improvement. He was more open, more talkative, and started to resume childhood play with a lightness that had been overshadowed by fear. As Ben continued to recover and strengthen his bonds with his mother and Lisa, life seemed to slowly find a new rhythm, one that was gentler and safer. The strength of the community, his mother's unwavering love, and Lisa's dedication created an environment where Ben could find not only safety, but also joy. And as they prepared for a community event focused on child safety, the small family looked to the future with renewed hope and determination, ready to face new challenges together. The impact of Ben's case extended beyond his immediate community. It resonated through the corridors of local power, where lawmakers felt a strong call to action. Ben's story, marked by the courage and decisive action of Lisa, catalyzed a series of discussions among municipal and state authorities about the urgent need for legislative reforms in child safety. On a sunny afternoon, at a meeting in the mayor's office, the emotion was palpable as legislators, activists, and community members, including Marianne and Lisa, gathered to discuss the next steps. "What happened to Ben is a tragic but necessary wake-up call," began the mayor, adjusting his glasses. "We must ensure that no other child or family suffers due to a lack of resources or appropriate legislation." Lisa, with the calmness of someone who had experienced the urgency of the situation firsthand, took the floor. "When I saw Ben that day, I knew something was wrong. We need a system that empowers more people to act bravely and have the necessary support to do the right thing without hesitation." Inspired by Lisa's account and supported by Marianne, who spoke about her son's trauma and recovery, the legislators proposed new laws that would significantly increase penalties for parental kidnapping. Additionally, they discussed implementing a more efficient rapid alert system that could be activated immediately after a child's disappearance is reported. "These laws and systems are our collective response to a serious failure in protecting our children," explained a legislator while presenting the bill. "With these changes, we can not only punish the perpetrators more severely, but also prevent many of these cases before they occur." The debate was intense and productive. Questions were raised, concerns were discussed, and eventually compromises were made. The effectiveness of the new rapid alert system was a priority, with state-of-the-art technology being considered to ensure an immediate and effective response across the state. After weeks of deliberations and adjustments, the new legislation was passed, a testament to the lasting legacy Ben and Lisa had created. At a signing ceremony, the mayor, with Ben by his side, signed the laws, declaring, "Today, we take a significant step to protect our children. Thanks to Ben's courage and Lisa's determination, our families can sleep a little more peacefully." News of the legislative changes spread quickly, bringing a wave of hope to the community and beyond. Families who had gone through similar experiences expressed their relief and gratitude, feeling more supported and secure under the new legal regime. As the community celebrated these victories, Ben, now a little older and more aware of the impact his experience had generated, felt a mix of pride and responsibility. Alongside Lisa and Marianne, he watched the signing ceremony, not just as a victim, but as a young ambassador for the cause of child safety. From that moment on, every step Ben took, every smile he shared, reinforced the resilience and ability to overcome that he, his family, and his community had demonstrated. And as they prepared for the next major community event, where the implementation of the new laws would be discussed, everyone felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination to continue the fight for the safety and well-being of all children. As the dust from the incident at the restaurant settled, a new storm was brewing behind the scenes. The arrest of Ben's stepfather, Robert, was just the beginning of a series of discoveries that revealed a darker and more extensive scheme than anyone could have initially imagined. Lisa, whose attention had been drawn by Ben's vulnerability and the suspicion that something larger was at play, found herself once again at the center of a police investigation. But this time, not as a witness or first responder, but as a valuable consultant. The details she provided, based on her observations and intuitions, helped investigators connect dots that led to a kidnapping network operating across several cities. In a meeting with the police special unit, Lisa sat alongside detectives as they mapped out the complex web of connections. "So you're telling us that you saw similar behaviors in other cases?" asked the lead detective, his pen paused over scattered notes. "Yes, exactly. I started noticing patterns, conversations, exchanged glances, small things that don't seem like much on their own, but together start forming a pattern," Lisa explained, her voice firm, marked by the determination to uncover the whole truth. Through her involvement, Lisa became a support point for other families whose children had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. She helped organize support meetings where parents could share their stories and anxieties, many of which mirrored Ben's experience in painfully similar ways. "We're not alone in this, see?" Lisa would say during one of these meetings, her gaze sweeping the group of anxious faces. "Together, we can be the voice these children need. Together, we can push for justice and change." As the investigation progressed, each new discovery added more weight to the responsibility Lisa felt. The police conducted several raids and arrests, each revealing more about the inner workings of the kidnapping network. And at each step, Lisa was there, either offering her unique insight or comforting a mother or father devastated by uncertainty. "The work you're doing is crucial, Lisa," one of the detectives stated during a briefing, acknowledging the exceptional role she played. "You have a gift for seeing what many of us can't." These efforts culminated in a significant trial where Lisa was called to testify. Before a silent courtroom, she shared everything she knew, every detail observed, every pattern recognized, helping paint a clear picture of how extensive and harmful the network really was. As she prepared to leave the courthouse after a long day of testimonies, Lisa felt a mix of exhaustion and hope. "We're making a difference," she murmured to herself, strengthened by the certainty that every small victory was a step toward a safer world for children like Ben. And as the community and authorities continued to uncover and combat the kidnapping network, stories of courage and resilience, like Ben's, inspired ongoing change, paving the way for broader discussions on how to protect children in all the cities involved. Ben, now a little older and aware of the impact his experience had generated, began to discover the power of his own voice. His transformation from a silent victim to an active advocate for child safety was not only remarkable, but also a source of inspiration for many around him. One morning, as he prepared to speak at a local school, Ben reviewed the notes he and his mother, Marianne, had prepared together. "Do you think they'll understand the message, Mom?" Ben asked, looking at Marianne with a mix of anxiety and determination. "Absolutely, Ben," Marianne replied, adjusting his shirt collar. "You speak from the heart, they'll feel every word." At the school, in front of an audience of attentive peers and interested teachers, Ben began to tell his story. "When I was younger, I went through something none of you should experience. But I learned something very important. We need to know how to protect ourselves and our friends." He went on to explain how to recognize warning signs, from strangers acting suspiciously to situations where someone they know might not be acting in their best interest. "If something or someone makes you feel uncomfortable, it's important to speak up," Ben instructed, his voice growing in confidence as he spoke. The students listened, absorbing every word, some nodding in agreement, others murmuring among themselves about the implications of what they were learning. Teachers and school counselors also took notes, recognizing the importance of Ben's lessons for everyone's safety at the school. After the presentation, a girl approached Ben, accompanied by her teacher. "Thank you for sharing your story," she said, clearly moved. "It made me think about some things I'd never considered before." Ben smiled, grateful for the opportunity to make a real difference. "That means a lot to me," he replied, realizing that each conversation was a chance to change a life. It wasn't long before Ben's story spread beyond the school walls. He was invited to speak at community events, neighborhood meetings, and even child safety conferences. On each occasion, he shared his story with courage and clarity, strengthening his reputation as a young and influential advocate. "You've become our little hero, Ben," said an event organizer after a particularly touching talk. "Your ability to share your experience is opening many people's eyes." Encouraged by these experiences, Ben began collaborating with local child safety organizations, helping to develop programs that taught children about self-protection and situational awareness. His involvement not only helped educate other children, but also healed himself, giving him a sense of purpose and control over his narrative. As Ben continued to engage in advocacy activities, his influence grew, shaping not only his own trajectory, but also impacting the community at large. Every word he said, every story he shared, reinforced the safety net he wished to strengthen. And as he prepared for his next big event, a workshop for parents and teachers, Ben and his mother looked to the future, knowing that every small step contributed to a safer world for all children. After the tumultuous events that had marked their lives, Marianne and Ben found a new refuge, a support group for kidnapping survivors. This group met weekly at a local community center, a welcoming place that became a vital meeting point for many families facing similar traumas. On a cool autumn evening, Marianne and Ben approached the building, the soft light spilling from the inviting windows. "Are you ready for this, Ben?" Marianne asked, squeezing her son's hand as they walked together toward the entrance. Ben, holding his mother's hand firmly, nodded with determination. "I think so, Mom. I want to try to help too, like the other people who spoke at the schools," he replied, showing a maturity that seemed beyond his years. As soon as they entered the room, they were greeted with warm smiles and understanding nods. The group was diverse, made up of people of all ages and backgrounds, but all shared a common bond that transcended their superficial differences. The group's coordinator, a woman named Clara, began the meeting with a brief meditation, helping everyone center themselves and prepare to share and listen. "Today we will focus on our stories of strength and recovery," she announced, sitting in a circle with the group. One by one, people began sharing their experiences. A mother spoke about how her son was starting to smile again. Another father shared his struggle to rebuild trust in his community. When it was Ben's turn, he looked at Marianne, who encouraged him with a slight nod. I was kidnapped by someone I thought I could trust," Ben began, his voice a bit shaky at first. "But my friend Lisa helped me, and now I'm trying to learn to be strong again. I'm speaking at schools, trying to help other kids understand they can speak up if something is wrong." His account, though simple, deeply touched the other group members. His words not only showed his recovery, but also how he was turning his experience into positive action. "Thank you, Ben, for sharing that with us," Clara said, her voice gentle. "You are helping all of us by showing how we can turn our painful experiences into something that strengthens not only ourselves, but others as well." As the meeting progressed, it was evident that these gatherings were more than just a means of emotional recovery. They were creating lasting community bonds. Marianne and Ben felt part of an expanded support network, where everyone was both empowered and empowering. At the end of the meeting, as everyone stood to leave, the goodbyes were filled with promises of ongoing support and future meetings. Marianne and Ben, hand in hand, felt grateful for having participated, knowing that each shared story and attentive ear wove a stronger network of solidarity around them. As they walked home under the starry sky, they reflected on the power of shared vulnerability and collective strength. And as they prepared for the next community event, where new child protection laws would be discussed, they knew that each step taken together was a step toward healing and hope. Since the incident that highlighted Lisa's courage and Ben's vulnerability, the restaurant where it all happened has undergone significant transformation. No longer just a dining venue, it has become a landmark in the community, a symbol of vigilance and heroic action. With Lisa now in charge, the physical space and purpose of the restaurant have evolved to reflect its new mission. On a sunny afternoon, Lisa, accompanied by Marianne and Ben, inspected the recent renovations that had transformed part of the restaurant into a multifunctional space. Newly painted walls in light, welcoming tones opened up the area, and modular furniture allowed easy rearrangement for different activities. "I'm thinking of calling it Hope Community Space. What do you think?" Lisa asked as she showed the new layout to Marianne and Ben. "I love it," Marianne replied, admiring the photos of community events and workshops that already adorned one of the walls. "It's perfect, Lisa. It's a place of hope." Ben ran to a little corner that had been specially designed for children, filled with books and educational games about personal and emotional safety. "Look, Mom, they have the game I like," he exclaimed, already getting distracted by the materials. "See, every detail here is designed to strengthen our community," Lisa explained as they walked through the new space. "We want people not just to come here to eat, but to learn, share, and support each other." Soon the restaurant began hosting regular events, from first aid workshops to child safety awareness sessions, led by experts and occasionally by Lisa herself. She made a point to share her experience and lessons learned, turning each meeting into an opportunity for collective growth. "Our goal is to create a safe environment where everyone feels they can contribute and make a difference," Lisa said during the space's inauguration, in front of an audience of local residents, officials, and journalists. The restaurant's impact extended beyond its walls. Schools began collaborating with Lisa to organize field trips to the restaurant, where students could learn about safety in an interactive and engaging way. Parents, in turn, were grateful for the engagement and resources offered, which provided them with tools to discuss difficult topics with their children. "It's amazing to see how a place can transform so profoundly and touch so many lives," Marianne commented at a meeting with other parents, watching Ben help other children assemble a puzzle about community safety. Lisa, at the end of a busy day, paused for a moment to observe the restaurant now full of life and purpose. With each event and each meeting, she felt she was building something lasting, something that would go beyond her and continue to serve and protect the community. And as the restaurant prepared to host a major child safety conference, Lisa and her team worked tirelessly, ready to welcome participants from across the city, united by the same goal: to create a safer future for all children. As Lisa's restaurant transformed into a beacon of learning and solidarity, the extraordinary story of Ben and Lisa began to capture attention beyond the borders of their small town. It was then that Julian, a local documentary filmmaker known for his work on social causes, approached Lisa with a proposal that promised to take their story to a new level. "Lisa, what you and Ben have been through, and what you've done since then, is something the world needs to hear," Julian explained as they discussed the project at a table in the restaurant, now also a community center. I'd like to turn your experiences into a documentary, not just to tell what happened, but to show how pain can be transformed into positive action. Lisa, initially hesitant, realized the opportunity to educate and inspire even more people. If this can help other communities protect and empower themselves, then I'm in, she said, finally convinced of the project's potential. With Lisa's blessing and the support of Marianne and Ben, Julian began his work. He spent weeks at the restaurant interviewing Lisa, Ben, other community members, and even some of the workshop participants. He also filmed the center's daily activities, capturing the moments of interaction and learning that occurred under the roof that once served as the stage for a memorable act of courage. When the documentary titled Light in the Shadow, the story of Ben and Lisa, was completed, it was immediately met with enthusiasm. Its premiere took place at a local film festival, where the auditorium was packed with eager viewers, many of whom were townspeople as well as visitors from neighboring areas. This film is a window into the strength of community. Julian introduced the documentary, highlighting the importance of community vigilance and proactive action. The images and stories shared in the film provoked tears, applause, and lively discussion after the screening. The festival's success led to screenings in schools, where students and teachers could see firsthand the difference informed and engaged individuals can make. I never thought about how I could help change things before, confessed a student after watching the film in a school session. Inspired by the positive response, Julian organized more screenings, expanding the documentary's reach to child safety conferences and meetings in other cities. Each new screening planted seeds of vigilance, mutual care, and community action, inspiring other communities to start their own safety and support programs. As Ben and Lisa's story spread, the impact of their actions grew exponentially, turning the documentary into a movement in its own right. The journey from pain to power not only changed life in their own community, but also sparked a flame of change in places they had never set foot in. As they prepared for the next screening, this time at a national conference on crisis prevention and response, Lisa reflected on the journey. "I never imagined our little story could fly so far," she shared with Ben as they organized materials for the event. Together, they looked ahead, ready to take their message even further. Each screening, each conversation, a step forward in building a safer future for all. The years following the dramatic events of Ben's childhood and Lisa's heroic intervention not only solidified the importance of their actions, but also laid the groundwork for a lasting legacy. Now a young adult, Ben transformed the adversity of his childhood into a life mission. Inspired by his own past and Lisa's tireless dedication, he decided to found a nonprofit organization. The organization, named Safe Futures, was designed to combat child abduction and provide robust support to families facing situations similar to those he and his mother had overcome. On an afternoon lit by the autumn sun, as he set up his new office, Ben reflected on the path that had brought him there. "I wanted something good to come from what happened to me," Ben explained during the organization's inaugural meeting, addressing a room full of collaborators, volunteers, and journalists. Safe Futures is more than a response. It's a promise that we will do everything we can to protect our children. By his side, as always, was Lisa, whose experience and passion for child safety were now indispensable to the organization. As a board member, Lisa helped guide strategies and initiatives, ensuring that the organization remained true to its primary goal and effective in its execution. Working with Ben, seeing the man he has become, is a daily reminder of why we can't stop fighting, Lisa said during the same meeting. "Every child we can help is a testament to what is possible when a community unites for a common cause." Safe Futures quickly gained recognition and support, not only locally but also nationally and internationally. It offered comprehensive programs, including safety workshops, community alert systems, and psychological support for kidnapping victims and their families. One of the most impactful projects was the development of a mobile app that provided safety tips, emergency alerts, and a platform for parents to communicate directly with local authorities in case of a disappearance. "Look at this, Ben," Lisa commented once, as they reviewed updates for the app. "Who would have thought that little boy would become someone who changes so many lives?" Ben smiled, feeling both the gravity and satisfaction of his work. It all started with one person deciding to act. You, Lisa. Now, we are many, and together we're making a difference. As Safe Futures prepared for its first international conference, where Ben would be one of the keynote speakers, the impact of his initiative was clear. The event would be an opportunity to share their ideas and practices with a global audience, further extending the reach of their work. Ben and Lisa, working side by side, continued to strengthen the legacy that had begun on a tumultuous afternoon in a small restaurant. Now, they looked to the future with determination, ready to inspire and equip other communities around the world to protect their children with the same passion and dedication. And as they prepared for this new phase, they knew that every step forward reinforced the safety net they were helping to build for future generations. The night was clear and starry, perfect for the fundraising event that Safe Futures had organized. The garden where the event took place was elegantly decorated with twinkling lights and tables adorned with delicate flowers. As the guests arrived, soft music filled the air, creating an atmosphere of anticipation and celebration. Ben and Lisa, the hosts of the event, welcomed the guests with warm smiles. Amid handshakes and friendly conversations, Ben felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. He knew this night was more than a fundraiser. It was a celebration of the progress and achievements of his organization. As the evening progressed, a special guest, still unknown to Ben, approached Lisa. She was an elderly woman with a kind look and a shy smile. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you introduce me to Ben?" she asked Lisa, her voice trembling with anticipation. "Of course, come with me," Lisa replied, noticing the intensity of emotion in the woman's eyes. She guided the lady through the crowd to where Ben was talking with some of the sponsors. "Ben," Lisa called, touching his shoulder to get his attention. "There's someone very special here who would like to meet you." Ben turned, meeting the older woman's gaze. "Hello, I'm Ben. How can I help you tonight?" he asked politely. The woman hesitated for a moment, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Ben, it's me, your grandmother. I'm your mother's mother. I've been looking for you for so long," she said, emotion making her voice almost inaudible. The impact of these words hit Ben like a wave. For a moment he stood still, trying to process the revelation. Then, driven by a deep impulse, he embraced her. "Grandma?" he murmured, his own voice choked with emotion. Ben's grandmother hugged him back, both generations sharing a moment of reconnection that seemed to seal years of separation and pain. "I never stopped searching for you, my dear. I knew we would find each other again one day," she whispered, holding him tightly. Mary Ann, seeing the scene, joined them, completing the family circle. Tears flowed freely now as mother, son, and grandmother shared a reunion that none of them had ever imagined possible. The surrounding guests, recognizing the moment's significance, applauded and celebrated not only the fundraiser, but also the closing of a painful chapter for the family. The night turned into a celebration of family, resilience, and the healing power of reunion. As the music continued to play and guests danced under the stars, Ben, his mother, and his grandmother shared stories and laughter, each moment together weaving strong bonds for the future. This reunion not only marked a new phase in Ben's life, but also reinforced the purpose of his mission with Safe Futures. Now more than ever, he was determined to continue his work, knowing that the night had brought hope not only to his family, but also to many others still seeking healing and reunion. And as the night gave way to dawn, Ben knew that, along with Lisa and his newly found family, they were ready to face the new challenges ahead, strengthened by the certainty that no effort was too small when it came to bringing families back together. As Ben's story spread, and his organization, Safe Futures, established itself as a model of action and community engagement, its impact began to be felt beyond local borders. The success and visibility of the organization inspired similar movements in various parts of the country, establishing a network of initiatives focused on the protection and well-being of children. On a rainy afternoon, while Ben reviewed impact reports and correspondence from other cities, he received an invitation from the governor's office to discuss expanding their child safety policies. With a mix of pride and responsibility, Ben prepared for this meeting, knowing he represented not only his mission, but the voice of many inspired by his journey. Governor, thank you for seeing me, Ben began, handing over a folder with data and recommendations. I believe that together we can create a system that not only reacts to threats but prevents them from occurring. The governor, a middle-aged man with a reputation for supporting social reforms, nodded affirmatively. Ben, your story and your work are a testament to what is possible. I'm interested in hearing your ideas on how we can implement these changes statewide. Thus, Ben laid out a detailed plan based on the successes and challenges faced by Safe Futures. He discussed the importance of rapid alert systems, safety education in schools, and ongoing support for affected families. Every community can be strengthened with the right knowledge and resources, he argued, showcasing examples of programs already making a difference. Impressed, the governor committed to supporting the expansion of these initiatives, promising resources and legislative attention. Let's work together to make this a priority, he affirmed, sealing the commitment with a handshake. Encouraged by government support, Ben returned to his team at Safe Futures, energized and ready to guide the next steps of the organization. We have an incredible opportunity to impact even more lives, he said during a team meeting, and we're going to make the most of it. News of Ben's collaborations with the government and the growing impact of his policies began to spread, attracting national media attention. Interviews and articles not only narrated his personal story, but also highlighted how his approaches were being adopted by other cities and states. As more communities adopted the initiatives proposed by Ben, the movement gained momentum that transcended initial expectations. Other organizations began forming partnerships with Safe Futures, expanding the support network and creating a national dialogue about child safety. As Ben prepared for a national conference where leaders from diverse regions would discuss future implementations, he reflected on the journey so far. With each step, each new partnership, he reaffirmed his commitment to transforming pain into a legacy of protection and hope. And as the conference approached, Ben and his team worked tirelessly, ready to share their stories and strategies, aware that each dialogue and decision could inspire even more change, ensuring that children's safety remained a priority across the country. As Safe Futures expanded its reach and influence under Ben's leadership, the complexity of managing a growing organization became increasingly apparent. Amid coordinating new programs and partnerships, Ben often found himself at the epicenter of critical decisions that would shape the organization's future. On a particularly hectic morning, Ben sat in his office, surrounded by piles of documents and project plans. The phone rang incessantly, and his email was flooded with messages from collaborators and partners. "We need to establish a more robust committee to handle the expansions," Ben murmured to himself, pondering the next steps. Meanwhile, at the restaurant that had become an icon of community action under Lisa's management, the challenges were equally intense, but of a different nature. The restaurant's popularity had soared, bringing not only a significant increase in customers, but also new opportunities and responsibilities. On a busy afternoon, Lisa supervised the staff as they worked hard to serve a crowd of customers filling the space. "We're going to need more hands over the weekend. It might be time to think about a physical expansion," Lisa thought aloud, watching the constant flow of visitors. Later that day, Ben and Lisa met for coffee, a rare moment of pause in their busy schedules. Sitting at a quiet table in the corner of the restaurant, they shared their experiences and challenges. "How are you managing the growth, Ben?" Lisa asked, her expression a mix of concern and admiration. Ben sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's challenging. Each new initiative brings its own set of complexities. We're trying to scale while maintaining the quality and impact of our programs," he explained, his eyes revealing the weight of his responsibilities. Lisa nodded, well understanding the pressure. "Here at the restaurant, it's a constant struggle to balance the demand with the space we have. I'm thinking of expanding, maybe adding another event room. All this popularity is wonderful, but it comes with its own load of stress." "That's true," Ben agreed, smiling slightly. "But we know these are good problems to have. It means we're doing something that really resonates with people." They continued the conversation, discussing strategies and possible solutions for their challenges. It was a powerful reminder that although their journeys had become more complicated, the essence of their work was still rooted in community commitment and transforming lives. As the afternoon turned to evening, Ben and Lisa reaffirmed their commitment to support each other, knowing that the collaboration between Safe Futures and the restaurant would continue to be a vital force for both. "We'll keep facing these challenges together," Lee said, reaching across the table. Lisa took his hand, her grip firm. "Always, Ben. Together, we're stronger," she replied, both smiling with the certainty that, regardless of the difficulties, they were prepared to face them. As they planned a major joint event to celebrate recent achievements and raise funds for future projects, Ben and Lisa prepared for a new chapter of their missions, equipped with the experience, passion, and resilience they had cultivated over the years. After solidifying their roles as leaders in the community and in their respective missions, Lisa and Ben sought new ways to broaden their impact. Inspired by the growing popularity of the restaurant and the platform established by the Safe Futures organization, Lisa decided to explore the digital world to further disseminate their messages. She launched a series of podcasts focused on child safety, an initiative that quickly gained traction. "Let's call it Guardians of Childhood," Lisa suggested during a planning meeting with Ben and her marketing team. Each episode can address different themes, from kidnapping prevention to how to build safer communities for our children. Ben, enthusiastic about the idea, readily agreed to participate. "This is fantastic, Lisa. We can use the podcast to share not just our story, but also bring in experts and even some of the families we've helped. They can share their experiences and what they've learned along the way." The first episode was recorded in an improvised studio at Lisa's restaurant. The theme was recognizing danger signs, and Ben was the first guest. "When I was a kid, I didn't know how to identify certain dangerous behaviors or what to do about them," Ben shared on the podcast, his calm and clear voice filling the space. "I hope that by sharing what I've learned, we can empower other children and parents to act before it's too late." Episodes were released weekly, and the response was immediately positive. Teachers began using the podcasts as resources in classrooms, parents shared episodes in social media groups, and child safety experts contributed their knowledge, broadening the depth and reach of the topics discussed. As the audience grew, Lisa and Ben were invited to speak at conferences and seminars where they could discuss the podcast themes in greater detail. It's amazing to see how a small idea turned into such a powerful tool for change. Lisa reflected after one of these events, truly amazed at the initiative's reach. In one of the most impactful episodes, they organized a roundtable with families who had experienced abductions. "Hearing your stories and knowing that we're not alone in this fight makes all the difference," a mother shared during the recording, her voice choked with emotion. Each podcast episode not only educated but also strengthened the listener community, creating an informed and engaged support network. Lisa and Ben continued to learn from each story shared, each piece of feedback received, and each new challenge discussed, ensuring their work continuously evolved to meet their audience's needs. As they prepared to record a special series on the impact of new child safety legislation, Lisa and Ben felt gratified by the role they were playing. They knew that each conversation, each episode, was a step forward in the fight against child violence and abuse. As the podcast Guardians of Childhood grew in popularity and Ben and Lisa's initiatives continued to expand and inspire communities across the country, recognition for their contributions began to arrive in increasingly significant ways. It wasn't long before their dedication and impact in the field of child safety caught the attention of national organizations and institutions dedicated to honoring those who make a difference in society. On a quiet spring afternoon, Lisa received a call that would bring exciting news. "Lisa, it is with great pleasure that I inform you that you and Ben have been selected to receive the National Child Safety Heroism Award," announced the voice on the other end of the line, a representative from a renowned national foundation recognizing extraordinary efforts in child protection. Lisa, visibly surprised and moved, responded, "This is incredibly honorable. We don't do our work expecting recognition, but to be noticed in this way is truly special and strengthens our commitment." When she shared the news with Ben, she found him in the office, immersed in organizing a new workshop. "Ben, we have another reason to celebrate. We've been selected to receive a national award for our work," she said, watching as Ben's face lit up with a mix of pride and humility. "That's amazing, Lisa. It's a testament to everything we've all worked on," Ben replied, standing to give Lisa a celebratory hug. "But we know that each person we help is the real reward." The award ceremony was scheduled for the end of the month and promised to bring together various leaders and influencers in the field of child protection. When the big day arrived, Ben and Lisa found themselves in a large auditorium filled with other awardees, activists, and advocates from across the country. The atmosphere was charged with palpable energy, a collective recognition of the crucial work done by those committed to change and the well-being of children. During the ceremony, when called to the stage, Ben and Lisa were greeted with a standing ovation. "This award is dedicated to all the children and families who have fought against unimaginable adversity," Ben declared, holding the award with steady hands, "and to everyone in our community and beyond who have come together to make a difference." Lisa added, "May this recognition serve as a call for everyone to continue the fight for the safety and protection of our children. Together, we can transform society and create a safe environment for all children to grow up in." The event not only celebrated their efforts, but also enhanced their ability to influence and inspire. With the visibility provided by the awards, Ben and Lisa were able to expand their networks further, collaborate with more organizations, and bring their messages to an even larger audience. As they left the stage, with camera flashes and applause still echoing through the auditorium, Ben and Lisa felt a renewal of their energy and a reinforcement of their purpose. They knew that, upon returning home, they would continue to work tirelessly, guided not only by the vision of a safer world for children, but also by the support and recognition of their communities and now the entire country. After the awards ceremony, where the room still buzzed with enthusiastic conversations and congratulations, Ben and Lisa retreated to a quiet corner of the hall, a space where they could contemplate the next steps of their journey. With a world of possibilities opening up before them, both felt a mix of anticipation and responsibility. "Lisa, do you think we're ready to take Safe Futures to a global stage?" Ben asked, his gaze reflecting both determination and the vastness of the challenge ahead. Lisa, looking at Ben with a smile of approval and confidence, replied, "With everything we've achieved so far, how could we not be? The stories we heard today, the people we met, all show there's an urgent and global need for our work." Plans to expand internationally were not mere aspirations. Ben and Lisa had already begun conversations with partner organizations in several countries, exploring how they could collaborate to implement child safety programs and support families affected by violence and abductions. Imagine Safe Futures becoming a network of hope, not just here, but in communities around the world, Ben reflected, excited about the potential to make an even greater impact. In the following months, Ben and Lisa worked tirelessly. They attended international conferences where they presented their programs and discussed implementation strategies with NGO leaders, legislators, and activists. Each trip, each presentation reinforced the relevance of their mission and expanded their network of influence. "We're really doing this, Lisa," Ben exclaimed after a particularly successful meeting at a conference in Berlin, where they had established promising partnerships. "Yes, we are," Lisa agreed, her enthusiasm matching Ben's. "And to think it all started in a small restaurant kitchen." As Safe Futures began establishing bases on different continents, the story of Ben and Lisa not only resonated as an echo of their past actions, but also as a beacon of hope for the future. The conferences they organized, the workshops they led, and the awareness campaigns they promoted were not just isolated events. They were the building blocks of sustainable global change. And so the story of an afternoon in the restaurant, where the courage of a waitress and the vulnerability of a boy inspired an entire community, turned into a global legacy. This legacy was not just a memory, but a living flame, continually fueled and spread by Ben, Lisa, and all those who joined them along the way. "Our work never ends," said Ben, as he and Lisa planned the next series of workshops in countries newly integrated into the Safe Futures network. But every step we take is a step toward a safer world for our children. And with that, as the sun set on yet another productive conference, Ben and Lisa knew that each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to inspire and protect future generations. The story of Ben and Lisa, although marked by a closing chapter in this account, continued to be written every day in their actions and impact, a living legacy of courage and compassion.
So, if you're not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button below and join our community. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.